Hello, Maddie here. Thank you for coming back for another week, another book here on my channel. And if this is your first time, welcome. We're so excited you're here. On this channel, we do emotionally safe reads with happily ever afters, which means that your couple is both alive and together. I can't guarantee that other people won't die, that bad things won't happen, that they won't have to go through some really difficult circumstances, but at the end, they will be both alive and together. So, with that, let's go into this week's book, The Marriage Mart by Teresa DesJardien, which just means of garden in French. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if it's a pen name or not, but I always have a hard time spelling it correctly when I am looking her up because she's a little bit of a hard author to find. I usually can't find her stuff on Libby, which is a bummer. It's also nice in the sense that her books aren't expensive when you have to buy them because she's a pretty small author. Her books are small and great and we love them. So for those of you new and old to the channel, we are going through all of my blogs because I've had a blog for like 5 or 6 years. We are going through my blog and making videos for all of my blogs that don't have videos, obviously, because they start off as blogs. That list is getting very, very, very short. So we are coming upon books that have we're getting to the last of the blogs that don't have books. And I have to point it out because I talk about it in the blog because it's one of those kind of silly book moments. There are books with either like scene descriptions or dialogue that like stick with me, that like I will reread, rethink about those moments often, and I will be like, I can quote some of them. And one of the, at least for I don't know why I find it so like poignant, but it is a book called Shuffle Repeat that has both a video and a blog. And when the guy is kind of pouring his heart out, being like, "You hurt me," it like hits so deep and the dialogue is so good. When I was getting ready to write the blog about this book, it's because I thought there was a scene in here of like male suffering. Like the guy is just so in love with the girl and he doesn't think he's worthy of her. And he is the male equivalent of, the princess flinging herself on the bed. It's the male equivalent of he's kind of slouched in a chair with like hand over his head, over his eyes. And he's just like sighing because he believes he's not worthy of her love and he loves her so much. I 1000% thought I was in this book before I wrote the blog. And then I wrote the blog, was trying to find the passage so I could write it like I did with Shuffle Repeat. I wrote it I think I put it in the blog, but I definitely read it in the video. And so I was trying to find it so I could include it. And I read the entire book and realized that scene is not in this book. It's not in this book. And so I was like, well, I already had planned to write this blog, so we're going to write it anyways. But now we have to find this scene. And I am sorry to say that I wrote this blog 3 years ago. I still have not found that scene. I've read many books. I've reread many books. And I do not know where that scene comes from. If I ever find it, I will let y'all know. But I do not know where it came from. But it's like super ingrained in my head. Let me know if y'all have any scenes like that. It doesn't necessarily need to be books, but like movies and TV shows that like hit you right in the heart. Let me know. And now let's talk about the book that doesn't have that scene. The Marriage Mart by Teresa DesJardien. Marriage bound. Fiddlesticks, thought Lady Mary Wagnall. Finding a husband couldn't be that difficult. She knew she was no great beauty, and at the ancient age of 28, she was prepared to settle for any older gentleman, one happy to settle down and start a family of his own. Yet one glimpse of the incomparable handsome Marquess of Rothane put every practical plan to rout. Mary would be less than a woman if her heart remained unaffected by such a man, but more the fool for giving in to such folly. Bachelor sworn. Nothing intrigued the Marquess of Rothane more than a challenge, particularly where women were concerned. And Lady Mary Wagnall, with her quick-witted banter and forthright nature, would certainly provide enough sport to alleviate his increasing sense of ennui. But as he helped to plot her course to matrimony, he began to wonder if it was to be his sworn bachelorhood which would succumb to her charming nature and lively smile. So this isn't like he's trying to woo her. Literally not at all. It's a story of him trying to help her find a husband. And because, one, she believes she's too plain for him. 2, he's like, I'm a bachelor and I will always be a bachelor. There's reasons for that. And so it's a story of their budding friendship and him helping her find a husband. And in the process, they fall in love with each other, but they both believe they're not worthy of the other person's love for different reasons. Mary, because she is older, she doesn't believe that she's beautiful. She thinks she's a plain spinster. And so she's like, he's this handsome, titled man. He could get whoever he wants. Why would he want me? And for him, he's like, I've lived this life and she is so pure and lovely and wonderful. Like, why would she ever stoop to my level and accept me? So it's this book of him helping her, but them both falling in love with each other. And it's so precious because their love for each other, you know, it does start off as friendship and it just start off as kind of just funny back and forth, trying to help her. It starts off that way, but it's slowly them realizing that they love each other, but actively denying those feelings, thinking that's what's best for the other person. So they're both actively putting the other person first and putting their own needs, loves, and desires second. And it's so sweet and so, I don't want to say precious because it's really painful to see these people love each other but not going after each other. But they're doing it out of self-restraint, not because like they don't think it'll be worth it. But it's one of those things where it's like they might think the other person might love them back, but they want something better for them than themselves. And so you're like, oh, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Which is why I thought the scene of male suffering was in this book, because I had such vivid memory of John. That's the Marquez's name. I had such a vivid memory of him flung in a chair. Woe is me, life is hard. I love her, she'll never love me. That scene does not happen in this book. You're like, okay. But it's a little bit of a spoiler, but Mary does get a suitor that is not John. And as they're approaching marriage, the suitor talks to John about Mary. And this is what he says. I would ask that you no longer refer to Mary as my pet or my love or my own. You understand, I'm sure. John felt a bolt of lightning whip through his body, and for a moment he wondered if the fellow would also deny him food, water, breath, and life entirely. But with a great effort he managed a nod. Of course, he croaked out. John's love for Mary, I know he views himself as unworthy. His love for her is so deep, so pure, so all-encompassing that I'm just like, what woman doesn't want that? And I know he views himself as like lesser than. He's so not. And with a love like that is so selfless, like how could he be unworthy? And that makes me so sad because there are so many people I feel like that do settle for a love less worthy than they deserve because they're like, you know, I am broken. I am, you know, I'm not the nicest or the prettiest or the whatever-ist. And just because you're not those things doesn't make you less worthy. And I love this book being an example of two people who feel unworthy for very different reasons, but coming to each other and loving each other so fully, which is like kind of a spoiler, but also like, are we shocked? It's Regency era Maddie guaranteed. What do we think is going to happen? It's not shocking. But this book is just such an example of, I feel like it's a really good example of just like, it's cute, it's clean, it's fun, it's great. But it's also just such, I love the example of, two people who feel very unworthy of love for very different reasons, but find love in each other because they find a person that loves them for who they are and not just these things that the world has told them are the things that have made them either worthy or not worthy of love. And I think that's really incredible and beautiful and amazing, and we're here for it. Not only should you read The Marriage Mart by Teresa DesJardien, but I've read 2 other books by her, The Skeptical Heart and The June Bride. They're both very good. They're both Regency era romances. Her books are very short. This book is only a little over 200 pages, and all have happy endings. So you should read this book. You should read her other books. If I ever find that scene, I will let y'all know. But until then, I would love it if you would like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like I said, comment if you have any scenes from book, movies, TV shows that I've ever that stick with you because of like how much emotion is in them. Please comment them down below. I want to know about them. But also just like, let me know your thoughts on this book or this video or any of my other videos. I love to hear from you guys. So with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great night, great week, great weekend, great month, great year. Hope you have all the greats because you're truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, 再见. Bye.